Another top team.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, so I may have overspoke there just a little, because of course if they win this game, it is just 1-0, and theoretically Dplus could come back and win the next game. But I mentioned earlier that Dplus have been a little bit prone to chaining losses together. As Jiwoo is already barriering, and Smash has already finished his, as we are just fighting here in this bottom lane.
Andil going for the Ignite. They just wanted to all in at level 1, but Jiwoo ends up getting the worst end of this trade with the heal coming back from Career.
And flash advantage here for Career as well. And so a Flash Cosmic binding, something like that, they have to really check their angles. And you can see this ward still in the brush. Fourth shot going to connect. And DRX in a lot of trouble here. Like, we already said it. Like, Jin Bard is a terrifying lane. And that starts at level 1.
I get the idea here because it is a really, really unfortunate lane to play into when you're playing into the Bard. You opted into this, so you know you have to trust those all-ins. But the Ignite take here does not really end up working out in their favor. It's not a horrible scenario for them, but it's definitely not a favorable one either. And so as a result, we are going to see tons of lane control here. In fact,
oh, the flash forward there from Korea as they do manage to get the first blood. Korea will sacrifice himself for it as Deadly Flourish is just walked away from. As Smash in melee range with Andil is not exactly what he wants to do. Flashes eventually in order to get out of the way, but Andil, he's the one that stands tall.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jiwoo, a lot of lost minions though, and Andil is going to misread this, go put to the bottom side, so it's a freebie for Smash. We'll get out. Like would have gotten out either way, but we'll escape this way through the top side, and bit of a fiery start in the bottom lane. And
I don't know whether it's good. Is it good, Wolf? Like,
is at the end of the day, like when you look at this as, yeah, this is a win streak, although it's a bit of a niche pick. Look at how things eventuate. Considering the scenario before this for Jiwoo, I think it's actually slightly better for DRX than it was if we didn't trade. Because now they're in a position where they can actually get access back to that wave. The CS is going to kind of even out a little bit here. And Career had flash advantage. He used it to trade kills. And now we've kind of reset here.
And both of the kills went to supports as well. So it's not like Smash gets the kill, but then the follow-up is Andil or something like that. It's evenly traded between the two that didn't necessarily want the most of that money.
If Smash was able to get another wave or something before backing, or grab a plate after the play instead of running away and also having to flash, then it would have felt much better. But he also had to flash there because of Andil. So yeah, I think it's a slight net negative for Dplus on that one.
Yeah. That being said, they do still have a slight gold advantage after that wave is mopped up. You can see it does go down in favor of them to push them to about 5 minions in surplus. As Andil here waiting around, you saw Jiwoo actually going back for another cheeky back, so needed to collect his tier. Does so, will be able to start stacking that one up. That doesn't exactly give him combat power here in this lane, as Smash really wanted to walk a little bit faster. So he will have those shoes now collected.
Top lane, Willer has a potential angle here.
Yeah, but another anchor is going to connect. Andil just threads the needle, and Smash is so dead. Jiwoo going to be able to pick that one up.
And this is the problem with losing that flash on the Jin in the exchange at the end there. That flash is so much more valuable, and you had such a tempo lead in the lane. You reset things on the flashless Jin. Like I said, Andil, he takes every hook he can, but he does not miss. And if you're going to stand like that and get caught flashless, you are going to pay the price.
Yeah, and this is what I was kind of thinking, right? Because when you're the ones that have the range advantage, when you're playing in the neutral and you're just going to win in general, you don't need to die.
Yeah, you just need to whittle them down.
To keep them away from the wave.
You know, when you're in a favorable position, you know, you don't need to actually just go for the all-in, right? Like, it was...
The pressure wasn't on them.
Exactly. Andil, for example, went for the all-in at level 1 with his Ignite pick because the pressure was on them, right? Like, they're the ones who have to make a call like that in this lane. And as it turns out, ends up being a big backfire. Once again, Jiwoo is gifted a lead in the early game by his support Andil.
And this is actually kind of massive, right? Because we know Corki just gets so good on 2 items. And to be accelerated like this after things were looking dire, this is a huge deal. As now DRX moved to about a 300 gold lead. It's not really much of anything at all, but all of the action has been in this bottom side. And we also know that Jin just doesn't feel that good as the game goes on.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they have fallen behind with this pick just kind of compounds that negative feeling.
Well, it's a free dragon that comes as a result of it as well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, with Siwoo's early tempo teleport to grab a longsword, he had it back a second time, and now Rich has level 6 advantage. Well, he's going to use it.
Yeah, that is going to be Siwoo taking a lot here from Rich, but he's still got 200 health. Actually goes back in, which is kind of insane, as he flashes to get out of the way of the assumed shuriken.
That was crazy.
Yeah, the fact that he flashed preemptively, as good magical journey there from Korea. Smash still moving forward, wanting to find an angle here as Lucid and ShowMaker are making their way down. Flash out from Lucid there to avoid the shockwave, which doesn't actually connect. Empress Divide now onto 2 as Willa flashes, but he's still going to die. It's the Bard getting another one as Andil likely to go down next, and Jiwoo will be shut down by Smash. ShowMaker still on full health after he eats some of that honey fruit, and DK, guess what, Wolf? They found a team fight win around a Scuttle Crab area.
Yeah, the dragon.
And the Scuttle Crab's still alive.
The dragon goes over to DRX, but the fight promptly a D+ win. And the big part of this is, watch this from Lucid. The flash is insane. Gets away from the shockwave there, and that's a huge part of this early scrapping power here for the side of DRX. And look at how much damage is done. I like Jiwoo's angle here on the Valkyrie. It actually ends up doing a lot of burn damage, but he does no flash to get over the wall, so he ends up going down as well. But really good flash there from Lucid, expecting this play, and that reaction really turned the fight around. And unfortunately for Ucal, he just wasn't able to do as much as he would have liked there. It does pick up a kill in the end.
Yep. I mean, as soon as the shockwave does 0, then things are going to go terribly in the fight. It's just kind of how it goes. As right now, ShowMaker being able to take that advantage to the bank. 1-0-2 now on the Azir, and will be probably still even on farm. But you can see Ucal looking a little worse for wear underneath this turret. And with mid-priority, like, this is how DK look good, right? They play around ShowMaker. He's very good at pushing advantages as Cosmic Binding does go wide. And this has also helped alleviate the issues on the bottom side. Even though Jiwoo still has a slight lead, it is now back to even as Deadly Flourish does come through. A hook is going to uncharacteristically miss here from Andil.
Smash keeps it cool there. Knows the angle. Doesn't have to flash or anything like that. His flash is back up now, so they can play a little bit more aggressively. Now Lucid's going to try to take this bottom side prio here and look for a blue steal.
Yeah.
Invade, I should say.
As Korea has swept things out, Hook is going to connect immediately onto him, wants to take that magical journey, and he might be able to do so, but I still think he's dead, as Willa can just take it as well, and you can see a little bit frustrated in the player cams there on for Korea, who was just a little bit too far forward.
Wanted to assist to make sure that blue was taken by
really
Lucid.
good phosphorus bomb from Jiwoo to make sure that he was there as well.
Yeah, 100%. And the magical journey, you can follow that, of course, so no real escape for Career, who was flashless. Stayed a little bit too long.
All right, Jiwoo fighting against Smash once again, but taking that burst as there's the curtains. Jiwoo looking for an angle here, does try to get out, and the Valkyrie will be able to do so. As stuck between a rock and a hard place here, ladies and gentlemen, as Jiwoo kind of realizing he's trying to work out what he can do. Flash is available for both of them, and there it is. Smash just needs one more, and there it is! Through the barrier, says the 4th bullet. No worries there at all.
I think Jiwoo should have barriered the previous bullet and flashed, and maybe, I don't know, there's not really much you could do in that scenario, but he waited till the last possible second. The damage is real on the 4th shot, though, and that barrier isn't enough.
Yeah, that was just a little bit sad. Like, you saw it. Jiwoo was like, well, I mean, if I go the other direction, I'm dead. As Jiwoo's going to get locked up into the air. In goes Willa, looking to try and take him down, and they will be able to grab that kill. Andil just very comfortably tanks up the turret. And even though he wasn't there to defend Jiwoo there on the bottom side, he's able to kill Siwoo on the top side.
Well, we're already over a kill per minute here, pre-10.
That's what we like to see.
And it is a very exciting start. Trying to quantify the lead is a little bit more difficult, as in terms of gold, we are dead even, but where the gold is where you have to really point your finger. Is top side advantages have meant much less so far here in the early days of LCK Cup in 2026. But, you know, the bigger lead, I think, in this mid lane for ShowMaker is what's really going to be what we're keeping our eyes on moving into this mid game.
Yeah, there's another shockwave that's just going to get unstoppable by Lucid. I mean, throwing it to the guy that can just avoid the CC is probably suboptimal. However, they wanted to make sure that they could get the second dragon as well, and with Lucid having no ultimate, maybe there's going to be an opportunity there. Shock Blast does go wide, as Rich taking a bit of damage and electrocute here is now Korea face checking. Not sure about that one, but it's Willa that's taking the brunt of this. Deadly Flourish from Smash as he's looking for a flank angle. As we know the Lucid doesn't have the public execution, but DRX members are getting so low, and the Cosmic Binding connects onto Jiwoo. He's in melee range, and now he is dead as ShowMaker looks to get out of there and will be able to do so, but now the stun lands onto Willa as well. Cosmic Binding after the flash is going to miss though, and Smash just needs a little bit more for that bullet. Andil read him like a book as there's the curtains being called yet again. As Smash just really wanting to try and take down Willa, but thankfully there is a big daddy in the way. Smash is like, maybe he's not blocking for him. Let's check. And yeah, exactly. He's like, maybe he'll just like walk early, you know, because he's a fog of war. Maybe, you never know. Did not happen in this case. Is Rich going to go for another all-in here? Yeah, there's a slicing maelstrom onto Siwoo. He's going to try and turn it as best he can. Does get the boot back, and down goes Rich. But man, it was so close. Yeah, a bit of a coin flip on that one in terms of how close it was. I thought Rich had it calculated with the stun coming through, but he did not have 5 HP. Wow. Reports Jisun from backstage. Oh my goodness. He just did not have that extra 5 damage he needed, and the difference this makes is massive. Not only the kill, but the plate that goes over, the denied farm. Rich does not have TP. Going back to this fight here, I want everyone to watch, okay, initially going into this one, Career takes a lot of damage, but Jiwoo here comes in and then they try to go for Lucid, and he puts himself completely out of position here. I think they should have just tried to push towards the top side of the fight and front to back a little bit more here. Instead, he just completely isolates himself from the rest of his team. The Tempered Fate allows ShowMaker to escape freely, and they get these chase kills here as well. So watch this. This is from the perspective of Siwoo, as in live, another all-in the bottom lane. Yeah, in the meantime, even more happening, but let's have a look at it. Stun came down and gets the boot back, and the put in the works auto attack to take him down, and yeah, that'd be my reaction as well. That's like a huge momentum swing in the top lane, because Rich had been constantly been able to apply that pressure and was really generating a significant lead up there, and now it's just completely gone. And now Willa is trying to take some more of these grubs, as Empress Divide does get the flash out from Willa, as Lucid not interested in finishing these grubs off and actually just wants to come over and kill this Xin Zhao. He's only level 8 to the level 9 of Lucid here, and I think that he can just walk in and take his stuff. He's a bit of a bully here, and that is just going to be the red buff taken down. Smite wasn't even there. Yeah, neither of them had it. As he can just walk in, and it's like everything just belongs to him. He is the schoolyard bully. This timing for ShowMaker's back's a little risky. Tempered Fate going to eat the entire lightning rush, as the flash does have to come out there from Rich. Rear is just everywhere in this game. They may be able to make something happen here around Grubs, DRX that is, with Rich having the ult available. Not going to chase any further in terms of the fight. We'll be able to secure the final part of the Grubs there. And it was a tense moment there with the Tempered Fate being used a little bit laissez-faire there. It ended up being high value, except stopping the lightning rush. Yeah, and getting a flash out of a cannon is always good. It's just that the eventual objective doesn't go their way. Yeah, and I thought they would maybe try to look for a broader team fight there with the group up they had. It looks like they just don't care about Grubs at all. They didn't seem very interested. So they managed to steal away the enemy red buff. That's what they really wanted. And then able to get themselves back out onto the map. You can see Nash's Tooth is now done for ShowMaker, as well as a couple of Ghost Blades here for both Smash and Siwoo. It's an interesting composition because there is a lot of physical damage and yet double lethality items coming out first here. It does mean that if there is any armor that can be built, then it's going to be very valuable. The problem is there's no tanks to build it outside of Andil. So they're not really going to get punished for that. As Andil just going to get pirouetted on here by Lucid. Look at the lead that in farm that Lucid has right now over Willer. It's pretty insane with all the camps he's been able to steal away. Very frustrating to deal with. Jiwoo's at least going to help defend this Gromp here, but that is going to be a free blue buff as Willer is nowhere near. Does not have Hex Gates or anything like that, so another one bites the dust. Lucid just picking up a ton of extra money, as well as the ability to clear the jungle faster with his blue buff that he just picked up. And gives a blue over to ShowMaker as well. So yeah, it's a lot of small advantages really starting to stack up here against DRX, and could feel the pressure, like Rich's face cam earlier. We saw that. Andil as well looking a little bit frustrated because I think they knew
they were gifted such a significant advantage in this early game and then kind of botched the execution on a few of these fights and skirmishes that now lead to they don't have a lead anywhere, right? It was before, okay, ShowMaker's the big problem. Well, we got our bottom lane stable. No longer the case there. Top lane was a pretty big advantage for Rich. Obviously losing that 1v1 with 5 health means that that's a huge issue now there on the top side. As now the Herald has spawned, we are seeing a group up here for DRX, and they have their combo at the ready, but they do not have their AD carry, and Siwoo does have teleport, so if Dplus can stall this out, they can, I think, definitely secure this.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting the way that DK have been setting up around objectives. As soon as they see DRX approaching, they don't want the fight. It feels like DK understand that if they catch DRX on an objective themselves, they can get the setup and the flanks, then it can work. And otherwise, they want to avoid that sort of front-to-back team fight. The turn is not necessarily as good. And I kind of like it, the identification of what this composition can do. As Tempered Fate to turn off this turret, Rich just has to get out of there with the Lightning Rush. Not too much more going to come of it, but the Rift Herald does go over to Dplus. That's
DRX
their time.
Do get the first turret on the bottom side of the map, though, for Jiwoo, and he picks up a ton of money and actually picks up a gold lead because of it.
Big one, too.
So Dplus, you know, they decided we're going to play through the side lane top side. Took a lot longer, though, to do it, and because of the bottom side control that Willer had, like, they pushed Siwoo out of the lane, got the turret, and they're going to pick up a dragon here.
Whoa! Flash Depth Charge does come on through as the public execution. I don't know whether he really wanted to go that way as Lucid flashes and dies. And the Drake is taken on the other side. DRX with multiple wins across the map.
And maybe even potentially more here.
Yeah. Remember, Jiwoo took down the turret. And so Siwoo is likely just dead as well. The flash is also employed, but it's not going to save him, and Jiwoo gets another kill. He may have died 4 times, but he's starting to make some money.
I mean, this game has been so much, it's such a quintessential DRX game. Almost all of the success they have had since the group battle has been they find punish plays. This team has been the most punishing team in postseason here for LCK Cup. If you make a mistake, you go over the line, they will catch you. That was a super bizarre decision there to try to look for the return, and then down here, she was like, okay, I guess they got the dragon, they're probably going to back, but has no information, and just walks up here to try to farm and gets taken out. So much money's given over to the Corki. They get the second dragon, they got first turret. Rich has freedom in the top lane now as well with Siwoo dead. They are just winning everywhere, and it's a massive swing. Now the gold is dead even.
Yep. Teleport does come on through, as you can see, the Tempered Fate not able to stop Rich from going home. And so he does get that teleport out of there. A bigger cooldown to be employed, but does keep himself alive, and that is certainly good news. ShowMaker down here defending this turret, and he has been quite quiet, and I think that that might have been leading to some of the issues that DK have had, as they haven't been able to translate this large lead that ShowMaker has into getting very much more. But it's really clever from DRX, right? Avoid the money and take down the rest of them to try and build up your own coffers, and it's Jiwoo that has that, heading closer and closer towards those 2 items, and is now actually looking for a back. We'll see whether it's going to be enough for him to pick up his Manamune, as he's very, very close to max stacks for the Muir Mana as well. As another anchor is going to connect onto Korea. He's taking a lot of damage, has to flash to get himself out. Magical Journey, a very short one, as the curtains have now been called. Jiwoo is now having Smash in point-blank range. Doesn't exactly get to use all of these, as there's a great shockwave onto Lucid to take him out. Finally, he kills the Ambassador with that ability, as Jiwoo realizes the rest of his team's here, and DK are not, and DRX win a team fight as well.
I thought ShowMaker was signed for multiple years here for Dplus. Thought he's the showmaking, playmaking maker, but he's just not showing up to these scraps. He's not showing up to these skirmishes at all to stand in the side lane, and they need him. He's the major gold lead. He's the big threat. He's the one who can split these fights up with Emperor's Divide, and he is just AFK in this one.
Yeah.
I'm not to blame him, because the win con for them is to split, is to get the Azir fed, use that side lane win con, but he doesn't have grubs, so it's taking a little bit longer. In this fight, they were so all in on the Nautilus with the channel there from Smash. He wasn't able to really offer any damage. Jiwoo was just like, all right, well, I'll just eat your barrier and shove onto you. You have to back off, and then we collapse back in. Andil goes for the re-engage hook when he's super low. Andil's confidence is unreal. He's 3-1-5. He's picked up so many of these kills. He starts this off onto career, and then ShowMaker doesn't want to, can't TP in now, right? But as the Orianna has the faster rotation, he could have opted for it, but instead he's just like, nah, you guys can take care of this. I'm just going to keep pushing bottom side here. Andil gets this re-engage hook. Ucal shows up to the fight. ShowMaker does not. Smashes at half health because of that exchange with Jiwoo, and Willer could just hard push into the front line here. And this is just a disaster for Dplus.
Yep, and Siwoo was there, and Rich wasn't. And so the fact that Dplus lost yet another kill, and it wasn't exactly a man advantage or anything like that for DRX, it was just the fact that the money was not there for DK. So they're going to have to fix it. And DK, after, you know, figuring things out in the early game, they won that early skirmish, got a little complacent. And if you're a DK fan, you'll understand that's happened before. She was just really dead. Rich just finds him, presses R, and down goes the Jace.
This Jace is a very fragile pick, and it is not safe in side lanes in this meta. I think part of why we're seeing the Jace fall off, like we used to be picked as a counter pick in controlling top lane in so many matchups, but it has just fallen off in a big way. Even with the buffs this patch, I was like, I think we'll see it as a niche pick, but into the Kennen here, once you fall behind, can just get all in. He was obviously having a bit of a struggle in the early lane, but if the jungle shows up, we saw Willer earlier, you're just so fragile. He's 1-4 now. He's so far behind.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think back to, you know, Dplus of old, Noguri certainly did like a good old 1-4 Jace, but it does not necessarily work out. So we'll see whether Dplus can get some relevance out of Siwoo here. Rift Herald did get a little bit of a charge, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But not able to take the turret
look
down.
At the map, though. I mean, they get the charge, but Ucal looks like he's going to get a whole turret, and they don't get the turret in mid lane, and they don't have a play here.
Well, Hook going to connect onto ShowMaker as he gets knocked up. Tempered Fate to keep him safe. As now Lucid looking for an angle. Flash out of the way from Andil to avoid the deadly flourish. And that is just going to be disengaged here from DRX as the Drake is going to come up. It would be soul point for DRX. But control of the area belongs to Dplus at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to take him a while, though. Rich going in.
Yeah, Ghostblade.
I mean, Ucal has his ultimate at the ready here. This could be absolutely a favorable fight for DRX. Ucal has the time to come back in. Got an extra rod.
Well, in goes Sheer looking to take down Andil, and he does successfully do that, but he'll sacrifice himself for it.
Top laner for support on a fight like this. I'm not sure if that's the trade he was looking for. ShowMaker has to save this.
I mean, Andil is very important, though, for DRX. Otherwise, they don't have very much engage. So maybe that's going to be enough to give DK the confidence. I think without the Jace, though, can get problematic, but Slicing Maelstrom's back up. Rich has Flash. He could win the game for them right here. Shockwave connects onto Lucid. He does still have the public execution as in goes ShowMaker, and he looks for the angle. He gets on top of Jiwoo. The public execution is there as well, and the curtains, they have been called for DRX, but two are already down. And without Lucid and ShowMaker, DK have no way of winning a fight, as it's almost the Drake take there from the deadly flourish, but it does not come through. So a 1 for 3, and DRX can do no wrong.
I think Dplus should have decided to opt out. So we're going to go all the way back to this play here with Rich. Goes straight onto the Jace, 100-0. See you later. And then this fight, it's ShowMaker looking for the angle, and he and Lucid coordinated so brilliantly, but the problem is there just isn't any long-term damage if ShowMaker sacrifices himself for the engage, because you have a Jhin. You talked about it in the draft. It is so hard to front to back these team fights if you're not in a really favorable position. Lucid's so low that he has to sack himself as well when the engage comes through. Look at this from ShowMaker. Great angle. Jin's already ulting. Lucid's got the angle as well. They're all coordinated, right? All three of them. But the sacrifice isn't worth it when, you know, we're still like, all right, well, we are off Dragon Control, and thank you very much for the favorable trade plus Dragon. And now they're on Soul Point in this game. It's starting to look a little rough here for Dplus. The win cons are really starting to thin out, and ShowMaker has spent a lot of time in side lanes. I think he's going to have to continue to do so, but they will have to show up for this next Dragon 100%.
And this is the thing that's a little bit scary, because this could mean a lot for DK as Lucid's just dead again. Willer is going to turn that into another one onto ShowMaker here at the same time. He tries to shift the sands as Siwoo. Just one more auto and he's going to be going down, but ShowMaker's dead on the other side of the map, and DK are falling apart at the seams.
Jiwoo could maybe have an angle here. Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Rich is not even going to flash for the kill. He's like, taking this win, getting your flash is more valuable. They're going to take Baron on the top side. Everyone rotated bottom side trying to bail out the Jace, but there's nothing bottom side. This is just a free Baron.
Yeah.
DRX are running circles around Dplus right now.
Wait.
And he does die to minions.
Did he die to a minion? Is that what happened?
There's, I guess that's the only explanation. He was.
I mean, Rich doesn't have an extra kill, right? So,
yeah.
Okay. Right. Well,
all right, so you mentioned it from the start, and this fight is just Lucid getting caught, right? They started the engage off without setup. They did not have the setup this time, and ShowMaker was not in position to ult. So you were leading into it before this happened, though. the collapse of Dplus sometimes in these series, the mental collapse that we often see, as she starts this off with a teleport interrupt.
The teleport, right.
And the Rich is like, okay, but I'm happy for that. All right, let's see what happens here.
This is the important part. It's what happens afterwards.
Yeah, it's too many minions.
Oh, wait. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay. Dies to the minion wave. There you go. Well, he's just, you know, he hasn't played really squishy top laners in a while. You know? It's Jace has been out of the meta.
DRX, I really truly feel so far here in playoffs / play-ins has just been the bar you have to be better than. And if you just kind of mess up or you're a little sloppy, they will obliterate you, it turns out. And in this game, it's just the same case here for Dplus.
And I think they just operate super well with, you know, the underdog buff. This DRX, they just punch harder than you expect. And DK are the team that are just... Yeah, they often get caught by teams like that. As Tempered Fate goes wide, Deadly Flourish gets flashed, and Rich going to keep himself alive. Siwoo in a lot of trouble as he's going to have to get out of there. Andil probably not wanting to go for that one as he is taking a lot of damage from ShowMaker. As DRX looking to push in with this Baron buff and make it work. 3,000 gold on the Red Bull Baron power play already, putting them at a 6.2k gold lead. DRX, like, I mean, they are just off to the races in this game. It's all right. Let's see whether they can find it. As there is the public execution, but the CC is there, and the Ambessa goes down.
Way too early for the TP flank. Let's see if he can get anything with the
Also,
shot
what
blast.
is a flanking Jace going to do anyway? As Empress Divide comes on through, and ShowMaker immediately goes down. She was knocked out of the sky, and DRX is moving forward like a freight train. Smash likely to go down next as Willow looks for the angle. Wind becomes lightning. He's going to go wide, so that spells the end of that. But it is only Smash left alive. The base is going to be broken, and DRX are on the road to doing it again.
Yeah, this is a great start for them here. Ucal, a little bit less great on this one.
Like the amount of dying to minions this game is much higher than it should have been.
Yeah, I at least twice.
I know they buffed a few things about like turrets and the amount of like damage you can do to them and stuff like that, but it wasn't the minions, so that's still the same. There's
just so much damage this far behind that you can't solo engage like this, and ShowMaker, because he's stuck in the base here, can't actually opt to help out, and Ucal's marked him, right? He's waiting for him. Has the Zonias as well, perfectly timed here. Siwoo's flank does a little bit of burst, but it's just ultimately not enough. I'm curious where Ucal ended up picking up a ton of damage here. His career, okay, he's just got the aggro, and then too many minions for him as well. Yikes.
Oh no.
Doesn't have his abilities, or either doesn't have enough No? What happens? Oh. Yeah.
Right. So he just dies to the turret because he was trying
minions
to go
weren't
back
close enough
in range of the turret.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's very silly, it's very funny, but DRX, I think, are gonna laugh about it.
I have the feedback for him to avoid that happening, though. And that is, don't back under the enemy turret.
He thought the minions were going to cover him. He thought he was okay.
And also Andil thought that he'd be able to tank it for him, but he wasn't able to do that either. So.
You know, Career has an item advantage over Andil right now.
Hey, there you go.
He's got his fancy belt.
He's got a fancy belt. He's got his musical instrument. He's got his cool shield and another cool shield. And some shoes that were free.
I cannot believe that Dplus, after the turnaround in this game, just got outplayed repeatedly by DRX.
Yeah, like, I mean, I do believe it, though, Wolf. We stated this earlier.
But I look at this scenario thinking the reason why I predicted Dplus and why I predicted them 3-1, and by the way, we're still early in this series, but from a microcosm of this one game, was I thought in a scenario like what DRX was in, Dplus always wins out. Like, Dplus is the better team, they'll come back. It's kind of the opposite in this one, and DRX are suddenly just this insane team-fighting team. Yeah, they're really good at skirmishes, they're really good at mid-game team fights, and you have to respect them. Dplus did not, and they found out what that means here in this first game. Is the Nexus is still alive, but I think this lead is just too big now.
And also this composition from DRX is, it just sort of plays itself from this point.
Yeah.
And we stated it already, the way that these teams are going to be fighting later on in the game is going to be very, very different. And so if you're the one in control, then you're the one that's going to be able to call those shots. And right now it's DRX, so Andil just presses an R button on whoever he likes, and that player will die. That's just kind of how it will go, because they're the ones with the lead. Rich is also just gigantic in this game, even if he doesn't necessarily have a huge gold lead over the 3-7 Jace, which is very funny. It's Willa that is just huge, and he was getting ran around the map in the early game.
Jungle didn't belong to him for half the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did not get a second inhibitor here. So that is, if you're a Dplus fan, can breathe a sigh of relief. 2 minutes for the final inhibitor there on the bottom side. It will still be down on the opposite side of the map for Baron, so that's not great, but
it's there is a chance. Soul as well. Like, Xin Zhao with Mountain Soul, like, does Willa ever die again in this game?
He probably shouldn't, and you have to kill him twice with his GA as well. I am kind of the mind right now that this has been a game where the coordination is, despite some of the great combos we've seen, been misplaced by Dplus. Like, they've made the decision, okay, we can lock down this one target, let's all go, a few too many times, and ShowMaker wasn't there for some of those early fights where they needed him. Now he just can do very little. Like, he's the one who has to somehow stop this Baron, save them, but they have to walk through like 17 wards to get this. They can't. You know, it's too late. Like, there just isn't an angle here. We talk about late game Azir. We talk about Jay's Shock Blast warping objectives, but if they can't even get halfway to the Baron, what does it mean? What does it matter?
Well, I mean, they have to try. And there is Rich finding the angle onto ShowMaker. The Shockwave connects onto Korea, but ShowMaker does flash his way out of there. Jiwoo now getting ulted by Andil, but the knockup collects Korea on the way through, and the chase is separated and destroyed. A double kill just casually there for Jiwoo, and they'll just saunter back towards the Baron to take it down with ease.
This is looking very different than the last time these two teams matched up against each other. ShowMaker down flash now. Baron is going to, you have to think, guarantee this base gets completely trashed here for Dplus. As Korea's trying to set up for a play here and just gets shockwaved, right? ShowMaker has to flash, he gets away, but doesn't have an ult angle. Rich just like, nah, I got you.
Magical journey to death.
Yeah. Less magical than it said on the brochure.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes you do really get caught out by some of those tours, man. And Rich now has a Void Staff, so this cannon, he was scary before, he's more scary now. And 2 minutes on the Elder Dragon. I don't know whether we're even going to get there. There's a Rebel Baron power play ticking up as we've got 2.5 minutes for DRX to wreak havoc on the DK base.
They also have a comp that 4-1's incredibly well with a lead like this. You know, it's Ucal is just going to clear waves insanely fast on the bottom side, and with Rich having his ultimate back up, he's just super safe. Well, Jiwoo, on the other hand,
he's going to get booped back by the hammer, but he does offer a lot of damage himself with... He's got a Randuin's.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to die.
He really likes Bruiser Corki, doesn't he? But he's taken it, I feel, an extra step with the Randuin's purchase. It's kind of cute, but don't know about it.
No, I mean, the Jace and the Ambessa can't hurt him now, basically.
Yeah, and I guess he just, like, presses the Randuin's button and Valkyries, and then they can't get up to him. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, all right. Well, he's also got a Mountain Soul, so it's only going to get amplified as well. So I kind of like that as well, a situational purchase as the anchor is going to go wide. Jiwoo is walking a little too fast there for Andil, as just stands in it, does Rich, as he's very happy to be tempered fated. He will get held in position, though, and it's Smash that's able to lock down that kill. Now,
Lucid
the curtains are being called. Let's see whether Lucid can actually find this. There's a couple more bullets left in the chamber. Deadly Flourish connects, as they do have Andil, and they avoid the anchor. But now Willa goes in, and we will have to find out whether Willa can actually die. Goes down to the GA to start us off. As the engaged Corki comes in, the Shockwave is going to come through as well, and all the damage is melting. Jiwoo just doesn't take damage. And the Corki finding is actually fantastic, but Lucid, he cannot outfight this. And Andil comes forward. Is that going to be the Quadri? Yes, it is. And down goes the Nexus. Tank Corki.